Egypt, a country of many contrasts. You must have heard about enormous pyramids, ancient riddles, deserts, and beaches with palms along the Red Sea, but also about scam, poverty, tipping culture, and pushy sellers wherever you go. But what is the true face of Egypt? I have spent 8 days in this country of endless summer. On the trip I had not only to explore ancient ruins and swim in the Red Sea, but also to learn how to hide money in socks and try to find the true taste of Egyptian food among tasteless cakes. Egypt is located in the north of Africa, and even in December the average temperature is plus 25 degrees. It's extremely hot here in summer, so take this into account before planning your vacation. It rarely rains. Only once every 5 years it rains heavily for about 2 hours. The sand mixes with the water and slides along the road. All roads in the Arabian Desert are closed these days. My trip took place in Hurghada, which in the past was a fishing village. There is also another famous resort, Sharm el-Sheikh. If you want to immerse yourself more in the historical heritage, then you should choose Hurghada. It's located near the main part of Egypt where the Nile flows. And if you want to have fun and sightseeing is not included in your plans, then Sharm el-Sheikh is definitely for you. Tourism plays a huge role in the country's income. I noticed how the Egyptians are trying to create the best living conditions. It was December and all the hotels decorated their buildings with colorful Christmas trees and bells for tourists from Europe. It was very nice of them. Egypt is rich in 5-star resorts, and the usual conditions include warm pools, water parks, unlimited food, and an amazing garden around. In my case there was even a live music show every night, as well as golf and volleyball courts. By the way, despite the fact that you have an unlimited amount of food, it seems to me that Egyptians are not very good at cooking European food. The tables were filled with a variety of dishes, but there was little meat, and everything was bland, especially the cakes. I can't distinguish them, they was the same flavor, although there were about 20 types of them. The Red Sea is quite salty, and when you go ashore, your skin is covered with salt. December is not a tourist season, but I swam several times. An alternative to the salty Red Sea is the warm pools. I think every 5-star hotel has them. Another feature of the Egyptian service is the culture of tippings. Egyptians are very lazy workers, and until you leave a few tips, you won't get what you want. Even in order to get this one, you need to leave at least $1 on the bed. One good person told us that we should be attentive to hotel cleaners. They are very good cleaners and clean perfectly, especially the money laying on the open surface. They think it's a tip. After this story I hesitate to keep my money even in the safe in the room, so I had them in my socks. Also, you always should be careful because of scam among tourists. Don't engage, keep walking, say no when someone is trying to get something from you. They will not accept your no answer and will follow you. And this fraud culture is everywhere in Egypt. For the first time we met with scam culture when checking into our hotel. We were offered a room without a balcony and with a broken wardrobe. We recently realized that it's a very common story when you are first given a damaged room. This is a trick for people who won't complain, I guess. Although it was after midnight and we were tired after a long flight, we went to reception and asked for another room. Here we met with guys from our flight. Surprisingly, they have the same problem. And without any questions we were given a much better room. I recommend booking tours through a hotel guide. It may be more expensive, but believe me, it's better than buying I don't know what from a street seller and shaking in an all-crowded bus with 50 people. We bought 4 tours: Luxor with Nile sailing, Cairo with pyramids, yacht diving, and safari in the Arabian Desert. It will cost about $200. The next day we went to Luxor. To get to the cities on the Nile, you need to cross the Arabian Desert. There is no railway here because it was looted during the revolution. The only way to get there is by car or bus, and it takes 4 hours to get to Luxor. Luxor stands for the capital of temples. The city is located in the southern part of Egypt, and it's more religious. Men wear special clothes, galabia. It looks like a bathrobe and covers the whole body, protecting it from the hot sun. We visited the Karnak temple and saw many ancient hills, pillars, and they were covered with hieroglyphics. The ancient Egyptians believed in the life after death, so they built temples and pyramids for the pharaohs to help them in their new life. People are walking around this stone with scarab because there is a tourist legend that after 3 circles all your wishes come true. After visiting the Karnak temple, we sailed by ship along the Nile, the main river of Egypt. 95% of Egyptians live near the Nile because there is a problem with water and arable land. Even now this river is holy to every Egyptian and they refine the water from the Nile. But in Cairo I saw several places where Nile was trashed, so this belief remained a mystery to me. On the ship we crossed the Nile and landed on the other bank, the site of the dead. It's called that way because many years ago there was a cemetery. There is a huge mountain with many decorated tombs. The higher the grave, the more important was a person. Sewing staff took their places near the ground. 3 days later we traveled to Cairo, the current capital of Egypt and the biggest city in Africa, with a population of 25 million people. This trip was difficult because the journey from Hurghada to Cairo by bus takes 7 hours. Fortunately we didn't have traffic jams because it was Friday, and Fridays and Saturdays are weekends in Egypt. We visited Christian church and an ancient mosque. And the first one we even caught the moment with regular prayer. Then we went to the pyramids, our main expectation from the trip to Cairo. The pyramids are tombs for pharaohs and their wives and children. Usually people know that all pyramids are in Cairo, but it's not so. Egypt has about 120 pyramids. There are 9 pyramids in Cairo. The most famous is the Pyramid of Cheops, the largest one. It was amazing to see the ancient structures that were created 3000 years ago. Also there was the Sphinx, a lion with a woman's head. And of course here we face where tourists come. Pyramids are popular with locals as well, and it's the best place to try many kinds of scams such as free camel ride, horseback riding and taking photos with animals. All this is not free and moreover it doesn't have fixed price, so you have to trade with Egyptians. We were approached by this man with a camel. He wanted us to have a camel ride, but we said we didn't want a camel ride. And he followed us the whole time we were near the pyramids. Sometimes it may be challenging to walk away. We took a lot of photos of the pyramids and had fun. But in any case I wouldn't like to visit the pyramids again. A lot of tourists, noisy atmosphere, tons of Egyptians trying to sell you something. It was crowded, so for me pyramids lose their unique charm in a moment. I recommend to visit the pyramids once in a lifetime, but don't expect something extraordinary from them. Cairo is the biggest city in Africa. It seems to me very dusty and noisy. Cairo has less than 10 traffic lights, and driving license can be bought for $25, so the roads are in chaos. Cars honk and pedestrians can cross the road in every part of it. Besides, the air is so heavy. It's like the factories and cars have no filters at all. As for me, that was hard to breathe there. Cairo is the city of contrast, or the city of living and dead. Next to the rich areas, you can find cemeteries, where poor people are now making ends meet. Compared to Luxor, in Cairo people wear different clothes, buildings are taller, and there are not many chaotic repairs. In Luxor people follow the tradition to live in one house and keep fittings on the roof for son's future family floor. What really surprised me is the Arabic culture of Egypt. It's colorful, unusual and charming. I wish to spend more days and immerse myself into Arabic culture, wandering the streets of Cairo. Also, we can't leave the Red Sea without exploring it. We bought a yacht tour with diving and visiting the small island Utopia. The sea is very clear here, and I can see the bottom. There is white sand and umbrellas with palm leaves. All of this located in the middle of the sea, so you can see the mountains on the horizon. The island is not real and made only for tourists, but anyway I enjoyed exploring the island and taking photos. Also we were offered diving. I made an attempt but my braces prevented me from holding an oxygen tube between my teeth, and I stayed on the yacht. There were also opportunities for snorkeling, riding pills and bananas, and fishing for colorful fish in the Red Sea. And also we were eager to explore the Arabian Desert and the life of the Bedouins, so we went to safari. This entertainment included buggies, camels, and a story about Bedouins. We were given an arafatka and helmet. This is arafatka, a special piece of fabric that protects you from the sand in the desert. A buggy is a small vehicle for off-road driving. They have a pretty high speed and leave a tail of sand in the air. We rode in a line and it's important to protect your face with glasses and helmet from the sand. Finally we came to the Bedouins village, where the conditions were close to real ones. Bedouins baked bread the way it happens in real Bedouins village. The word Bedouin is translated from Arabic as an inhabitant of the desert. They mostly live near oases, places with water in the desert. There are more than 1 million Bedouins living in Egypt, so this is a huge part of the population of the country. They eat everything they find in the desert, and the main thing is a hibiscus. It's a red flower that blooms among hot sands. Bedouins use it in their daily lives and make tea from it. It's popular in Egypt and you should try it. Hibiscus tea is also called karkadi. It's red and served cold. We took a short camel ride and then went to the city. The journey takes about 40 minutes. Covered with sand from head to toe and very satisfied, we arrived at the buggy stop. Egypt is a pretty poor country. After the revolution about 10 years ago and the coronavirus, the national currency Egyptian pound dropped 10 times. Also there is a huge problem with corruption and the authority regime. Local citizens of Cairo said that with every year it gets worse and worse. Also there is a problem with wheat. There is a small arable area around the Nile and Egypt buys wheat abroad. The country has a high birth rate and the average Egyptian family has 3 or 4 children. There is an advertisement to have fewer children. It's surprisingly because in Europe the situation is completely the opposite. The salaries are low and the average one is about $120 per month. Many people are starving and on every corner you will find panhandlers. We saw them near the pyramids and in mosque in Cairo. In addition, even in tourist cities people ask for tips or act as pushy sellers. All this is sad because the majority of ordinary people suffer. And it's an answer why Egypt has this calm culture among tourists. People are trying to find money for living and often defraud, which has become very popular here. It may be challenging to live in Egypt for a long time, but is it worth traveling to Egypt? I definitely recommend you to visit this country. It has a long tourism history and it's cheap in addition. It seems another world with another rules and life. What I liked the most was how shadows of ancient Egypt from the past intersect with Arabic life nowadays. You can see different parts of Egypt and all of them mixed in one unique life of Egyptians. Gold beaches with palms and 5-star resorts. The salty Red Sea, desert with its mystery, the enormous pyramids or noiseries of Cairo. Everyone will find something on their own to admire Egypt, the country with rich history in the middle of deserts.